What's the craziest school prank that got a teacher fired? On the last day of high school, I pulled off the biggest prank of my life. I wore a full suit, grabbed a clipboard, and walked straight into a freshman classroom like I belonged there. The real teacher hadn't shown up yet, so the students were just waiting around. I walked to the front and told them I was their substitute for the day, but no one questioned it, so I took attendance and started teaching some made-up lesson on 17th century baking communities. They believed all of it. One student even asked if there would be a quiz, but right before the class ended, the real teacher walked in. He froze, and the class froze. So I smiled and reminded him that he was late. He blinked a few times, but then he started laughing and the whole room joined in. Security got called anyway, but once they realized it was just a senior pulling a harmless prank and it was my last day, even they laughed and let it go. I thought that would be the wildest story anyone told about me that year, but it wasn't. That same day, a 10-year-old student named Eli was sitting in his class with blood on his shirt. He had been bleeding since the morning, but the adults in the room didn't take it seriously. The teacher accused him of being dramatic, and the school nurse insisted it was anxiety and claimed that kids often faked nosebleeds to avoid tests. So no one called home or took his blood pressure or even checked on him more than once. So all day long, Eli sat at his desk, pressing tissues to his face while his classmates acted like nothing was wrong. The teacher told him he had to sit back down, and the nurse said there was no problem. When his mom came to pick him up after school, she found dried blood all over his hands and shirt, and he could barely walk, so she carried him to the car and drove to urgent care. But Eli passed out twice in the back seat, and when the doctor examined him, they didn't waste time. They ordered an emergency scan, and the diagnosis was terrifying: a ruptured nasal artery, severe blood loss, and early signs of hypovolemic shock. The doctor asked why Eli hadn't been seen sooner, and his mom told him the school thought he was faking it. The doctor looked shocked. Then he called for a nurse and wrote a formal note, stating that the delay in care had nearly resulted in unconsciousness and potential hemorrhagic complications. The next morning, Eli's mom went straight to the school and demanded an investigation, but they wouldn't let her meet with the principal. They kept telling her he was in a meeting, but every time she showed up, it was the same excuse. So she got a lawyer involved and submitted an official request for surveillance footage from the school hallway. A week passed and still no response. Then she finally got an email from the school, but it wasn't an apology. They wanted to know why her lawyer had sent a legal request for video records. So she responded by telling them that her 10-year-old son had bled through his shirt for 6 straight hours, and no one in the building even called home. She also told them that the substitute teacher had marked him as present and normal the entire day, and that's when I realized she was talking about me. I had been the fake sub. The school district launched an investigation, and the footage leaked, and suddenly it wasn't a joke anymore. The teacher was fired for negligence, and the nurse got removed, and the school had to publicly apologize.